Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is life is happening for us and through us rather than to us. So it should be a fun conversation. Before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling as you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. It's been a while. So good to see you. Welcome. Great to have you here with us, and welcome to everyone else who's joining us. I'm back from a little hiatus. I was sick and also traveling, and that's where the source of today's conversation comes from. So we've talked about this before for sure, where we're talking about life is happening for us and through us rather than to us. And I think it's important to recognize that statement as really indicative of a practice rather than some kind of just trite saying. It takes commitment and practice to engage with life from the place that life is happening for us and through us rather than to us. That gives us it gives us a perspective that requires our seeking the opportunity in every circumstance, and not just the opportunity, but the trusting that life is happening for us, which isn't always easy when things don't go the way we think they should be going, the way that we would prefer for them to go. So here's an example. So I was flying back from California, and my plane was late, and I had a connecting flight in Dallas and missed the connecting flight. Just got there as well. I guess the doors had closed a couple minutes earlier, and I missed my flight. And so, what better opportunity to practice life is happening for me and through me rather than to me? Now, I could have easily had all kinds of resistance about it and all kinds of story and upset. However, I chose, and I think that that's the operative word. That's really uh, the essence of this practice is choosing how to be relating to our circumstances. um I chose to believe that life is happening for me and through me rather than to me, rather than being a victim. And so I went to customer service, and they were able to get me on the next flight. It was the very last seat on the next flight. And the next flight was about it was boarding in another hour. So the flight was an hour and a half later. So it wasn't horrible. It wasn't gonna, keep me trapped in the airport for endless hours or anything. And it gave me the opportunity to get something to eat and to catch up on connecting with family so they knew what was going on. And then I got on the plane. And as it happened, it was the very last seat, as I said, and it was a window seat. So when does that happen, right? But it was a window seat. And then toward the end of the flight, the pilot told us that if we looked out the window on the left side of the plane, which is where I was, we would be able to see the northern lights. Well, I have to tell you that at the very top of my bucket list was seeing the northern lights. And I thought I'd have to go to Iceland. I've even looked into trips to Iceland. And here they were outside the window of the plane where I got the last seat on a window seat. And I was able to take pictures. It was interesting because they weren't super visible to the naked eye. They were just sort of hazy, but with the phone camera, they brightened into this blaze of color, brilliant, brilliant red and green. And it was nothing short of magnificent and spectacular. And I got some wonderful photos. And I just felt like I was in the midst of a miracle. And Joe Dispenza, who is he was a chiropractor, but he's now um, doing mass meditation retreats for people. He says that as you connect more to the field, miraculous things will show up in ways that will get winks from the universe in ways that we would never imagine. And I can say that this experience was way beyond anything I could imagine. First of all, I didn't know that Northern Lights would be in Philadelphia area. But the fact that my flight was delayed made it so that I could have the opportunity to really see this magnificent phenomena. And so the point of this is that when we release our resistance to life's unfolding, we leave ourselves open, and we, I believe, attract magic and wonder and miraculous, unpredictable occurrences. And I have to say, I felt so immersed in magic. I mean, this was something, I'm still in awe of how the circumstances unfolded in such a way that I was able to receive a gift that I wouldn't have even imagined. And I think that's available to all of us as we release our resistance to life. When we release the attachment to the way we believe things should be and allow things to unfold as they do, with life serving us. And I know how challenging it can be when we want things the way we want them. And that's why I say this is a discipline. It's a practice to allow ourselves to align with life, to align with its unfolding. Even if we don't understand it, even if it's not the way we would prefer things to be. So this notion of life is happening for us and through us, that who we are is life expressing itself through us, a unique vehicle, that life is process rather than destination, that it's the living of life itself that has the merit to it. So I don't know about you, but I have a little bit of I don't know if I'll call it addiction, but I really enjoy TikTok, and I scroll TikTok quite a lot. And I a lot of Bashar comes up lately on my feed. And just in the past day or two, not only Bashar, but also Abraham, both really interesting channels if you're not familiar with them. Both of them came up on my feed, and one of the things that Bashar said, which was really quite powerful, is that one of the greatest blessings that we have is that life is meaningless. And then we ascribe the meaning to it. We're meaning making machines. And based on the meaning that we make, we create our circumstances. And so he was specifically saying, if we make life mean, or the meaning that we make is, for example, that life is happening for us, essentially, then life unfolds in a way that we receive that gift. So we create this context of meaning, a lens of interpretation that allows us to perceive and receive the opportunities of a moment. That when we are in a place of receptivity and maybe even anticipation, welcoming the gifts that life presents us, then those gifts are attracted to us. And we end up experiencing a greater degree of what I call magic. And interestingly, I also heard an excerpt from Abraham talking about living life, that what is our purpose. And purpose is a big thing, big conversation for me. And um in fact, Bashar was talking about this as well, that living into our passion, living into our joy, living into what uplifts us, that in itself is a worthy purpose. And to be living life, experiencing it in this moment, to be being present in the experience of our lives, and seeking those things that uplift us, the things to which we are most attracted, the things about which we are most passionate, and to be expressing ourselves in the context of those things, in the pursuit of those things, that is our highest expression. That is an expression of our soul when we listen and we have the courage to choose those things that brighten our hearts, that lift our soul, that impassion us, that enliven us, that is the embracing of life itself, and that we are here to live it. And we can create this experience to be pretty much anything. And we do have choice. When we remember that we have choice, we can recreate ourselves in any and every moment. So there was another Bashar excerpt that was also quite interesting, with a woman talking about how she doesn't remember a lot of her life. And I find that that's true for me as well. Like, I don't have a lot of memories. And we've spoken a lot about how the past exists in the present, that we're recreating the past and the future in every moment, that the past as a reality is actually an illusion. And it was interesting to hear Bashar say that, because I hadn't heard that from them before. But that the reason that we might not remember our past is that we're recreating ourselves in every moment, and we're not the same person that had that past. In other words, the past is not a fixed entity, it's something that we recreate in any given moment. And knowing that, if we can, again, really tune into the fact that the only place the past exists is in our retelling of it in this moment. And if we can recognize that, then we don't need to be a prisoner of our past. And I do believe that there are experiences from our lives that are encoded in our bodies that we get to release and transform in the present. It's a very interesting phenomena, because as we transform, and I've seen this in my clients as well, they don't remember the past, or even in many cases they don't remember how they were when we started our work together, because they're not that person anymore, and they don't have a relationship to that history. That history, our histories, in a way, bind us to a notion of who we are. And when we dissolve the past, we're no longer, or dissolve the traumas of the past, for example, we're no longer bound by those constraints. We're no longer bound by that definition of ourselves. It's really quite phenomenal and defies the way we are culturally conditioned. It defies what we are conditioned to believe about time and space and 3D reality. But the one thing, or one of the very few things that I am confident about knowing, is how malleable reality is. I see such radical transformation in clients in the course of a session, over and over and over, thousands of sessions, that I recognize that our perspective on reality, our experience of reality, and the way that we then interact with it based on our experience is so fluid, so malleable, that when we recognize this, we can be empowered to transform it in unimaginably creative ways. And so when we recognize, start with this practice that life is happening for us and through us rather than to us, that we're not victims of life. When we can step into our power, that life opens its arms to us in ways that often elude our imagination. So I invite you to step into that practice. It's a discipline. It's a discipline because we have all kinds of ideas about how things should be. You know, we have our preferences, and our preferences are also a gift. Our preferences help to shape our direction. You know, our preferences are communications from a dimension of self. And so they'll set us off on a path. And then the momentum of being on that path then directs us to where we were perhaps meant to be. You know, so the preference gets us rocking and rolling and energized to be moving in a particular trajectory, and then life helps to refine our path for us. So that's it for today. It's great to be back. I so appreciate you and the opportunity to be with you and share these morning musings. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And again, so much appreciation and love to you. So until next time.